pretty much qualified for events in the past. We've got some of the best players from Europe, more prize money, FIFA points are going to be given out to the finalists as well. This is what it's all about. June's monthly finals, Brandon.
It is indeed. And if you're wondering how we got to this stage, as we said, we had 4 weekly invitationals, which built us up to this very special day. Every single Thursday, we have had different winners, and that's what's been so special about Europe. We've had Lucky Punch Hammer winning week number 1. Easy for Mel from Sweden picking up a victory in week number 2. Week 3 was won by a UK pro player in M. Haywood. And then last week, 16 years of age from Portugal, Jafonso jumped on, of course, to the PS4 Tournament Open Series. And, you know, what an impact he's had. Of course, you can see the North American names there as well. We'll talk about them a little bit later on tonight as well. But if you're wondering how do they get to this stage, as we said, we have weekly invitationals. Those are every Thursday. But to get to that stage, you have to go through Swiss rounds and qualifiers on a Tuesday and a Wednesday to compete. And then we're here for that one monthly final that you can see. But Richard, what are these guys playing for?
They're playing for some cold hard cash. We've had an increase of the amount of money up for grabs as well. $400 for the winner, $300 for second place, $200 for third, and $100 for fourth, with all 4 of the top 4 monthly finalists receiving an additional 12,000 FIFA points. So there's plenty of prize money up for grabs, Brandon. There's plenty of sort of pressure on these players as well. You look back at the weekly invitationals, the big thing, we saw different winners, but in terms of the teams they were using, very much the same. 5 players of the 8 that won a weekly invitational used France. 3 of those players used Liverpool. So are we going to see continued France support in that monthly invitational? Probably, yes. So, I hear you asking me in the Twitch chat, how do you beat France? Who do you want to use to beat France? Welcome to the monthly invitational and welcome to Richard's ratings. These are the teams that you should be using to beat France. I think some of the big players that you're looking towards. Number 1, you can't even beat around the bush. It's Liverpool. France have won 5 times. Liverpool's won 3. Liverpool are so quick going forward. Mo Salah and Sadio Mane being the 2 real catalysts to that attack. You've got Roberto Firmino with the 5-star skill moves in behind. You've got the Virgil van Dijk factor, a fantastic squad. France, if you can't beat them, join them. France have won 5, and there's a reason why. They're the best team in head-to-head. Now we start to go outside the box a little bit. PSG are an incredible team to use in head-to-head. You have the Neymar and Mbappe factor. Idrissa Gana again next to Marco Verratti in the centre of midfield. And across the back 4, Marquinhos and Kimpembe as your 2 central defenders with a lot of pace. And fourth, we've not seen them used really at all, Manchester City. You can have a little tinker around with that back 4, put Kyle Walker in at centre-back, and going forward, France's weak is the full-backs. Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, these players have got pace. You can get out the fullbacks and you can make France pay.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing about the PS4 Tournament Open Series is that it's not FIFA Ultimate Team. A lot of people are used to that. Instead, it is head-to-head. So for a lot of these guys who are foot verified, if you don't know what that is, they picked up 27 wins on one individual weekend league. They've been looking at the team to be. And here we are then, Richard, into our round of 16. These guys have been playing from the round of 64 today. So the round of 64 has been played. The round of 32 has also been played. And now we're going to be jumping into the action from the round of 16, Richard. Lots of familiar names, lots of names that we're used to seeing again. We've got foot verified players. We got a champion in Easy for Mel in the round of 16. One thing that I want to talk about, though, as we kind of go down the bracket and have a look, is that there's 2 players that have not made it through to the next stage. Lucky Punch Hammer and M. Haywood. Those guys won previous weekly invitationals, but they're not in the round of 16. They fell at the round of 32.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that just goes to show the competition level, Brandon, how competitive it really is. You've seen all the players there in the bracket. We're live right now on PlayStation's channel. We can see the Twitch chat. Let us know who you think will be successful in this tournament, who will be taking home top prize. So much competition, so high level as well, the competition. If you're sitting at home and you're thinking that you can compete as well, compete.playstation.com is the link that you want to sign up to. You want to get involved. You see it right there just beneath us. Make sure you sign up. Make sure you are here. June, that's been concluded, but July, you have a chance to be in this tournament.
Yeah, you do indeed. Get yourselves involved. As you said, we've got money on the line every single week, and even more money, and FIFA points, we should say, as part of our monthly finals. You've had your say with your Richard ratings. Well, how about some predictions from myself heading into the monthly finals? And fingers crossed, some better predictions for me, because they have been great in recent weeks. But one thing that I wanted to point out, in the last 16, we've got 9 different nationalities. However, the 2 most represented nationalities is Spain and Italy. Both have got 4 players representing each country in the last 16. Of course, both nations together taking up 50% of the last 16. So I expect a Spain-Italy grand final, one of those players to make the grand final on each kind of end of the bracket. So it probably can happen. One thing I want to talk about as well, we speak a lot about France. You saw Richard mention 4 teams in particular. Expect to see a lot of different teams. In recent weeks, we've seen sort of 90% France in terms of our European weekly invitationals. And I'm even going to go out on a limb and say that France won't be the team that will win today's weekly invitational. The player that wins today's tournament will not use France. I mean, some of my predictions, Richard, have been pretty awful. That one could be up there in about 2 hours' time. Or maybe it could be the best prediction.
That's very, very outlandish, saying that France aren't going to be the victor. They've won half of the weeklies, Brandon. 5 of the 8 players have used France. I don't think we're going to see any different. I think France will continue to dominate. The question is, are we going to see a repeat winner from a weekly invitational to the monthly invitational? In the other games that we've seen here, part of the Open Series, Mortal Kombat in particular, in NA, we had one player dominate every single week and then win the monthly invitational as well. In Europe on FIFA, it's been a lot more mixed up, and we've seen players falling by the wayside who used to, in previous weeks, dominate the competition.
Yeah, definitely indeed. We can also see the Twitch chat as well, so we'll do our best to interact with you guys. You've seen a few polls pop up in the Twitch chat. Those are for you guys to get involved. We'll have a bit of fun with that along the next few hours as well. But a lot of money on the line today. FIFA points and cash, alongside just having a bit of bragging rights in terms of being the first ever monthly champion of June. And the best thing is we go again next Thursday as well. So if you are wanting to get involved and you're not involved in this week's monthly finals or this month's monthly finals, I should say, get yourselves involved. ! Open Series in the chat. There's plenty of links to sign up. We want to see you guys get involved, and who knows, could you be the next Mo Alba? Could you be the next FIFA E World Cup champion in years to come?
I think that's one of the big things as well, for the sort of the consumers and the players themselves. This isn't necessarily aimed for the players like Mo Alba or for Gravison or MS Desari, for example. This is for the players who might be hitting 27, 26, 25 wins on Weekend League, who are wanting an opportunity to compete, who are wanting a chance to be able to show themselves on a bigger stage for PlayStation. This could be an opportunity where somebody's watching you, they see your potential, and you potentially might get an academy contract, or the opportunities that can come from this tournament and the monthly finals and the weekly invitationals. It could potentially be life-changing in terms of, if you can dominate, you're not going to win hundreds of thousands of dollars from prize money, but you're going to get your name out there, and that's the big real factor.
I think as well, on top of that, a lot of these guys are FUT verified, so they're on their way to get into a FUT Champions Cup. They're on their way to making a big competitive event. So it's great that we've got the Open Series over the next couple of months to find that new talent, that raw talent, just before we head towards the end of the FIFA 20 game cycle and head towards FIFA 21. And of course, we're not even talking about the PS5 yet. I'm sure that will be something that we will be looming about in the coming months. But let's have a look at our first game of the day. It's going to be a round of 16 game. And it's going to be the Battle of Portugal again, Richard. Delano up against Jafonzu, the man who won last week's tournament, 16 years of age. I mean, the last time we hyped up about someone that was 16 was DH Tex back in the day. We saw what he went and did at a FUT Champions Cup and the name he made. And on top of that as well, Dullah Mike, I'm sure you know him from Germany, was recently in the virtual Bundesliga grand final just a few days back. Unfortunately, didn't win that tournament, but just that youth kind of coming through from the European scene has been something that you have to keep an eye on.
And you've actually, Jafonzo's been in your personal Twitch chat, Brandon, over this weekend when you've been playing FIFA, and from what I assume, he's very confident. Can you tell us a little bit more information about that?
He's excited. I think I was just playing my weekend league over the weekend, and Jafonzo just kept on popping in and saying, I'm ready for Monday. I'm ready to compete on Monday. And is it going to give him the confidence, the momentum to kind of go forward and to potentially go and win today's tournament? Who knows?
Well, if you're looking at sort of form and, shall we say, power rankings, he's number one. He was the previous and the latest winner of the weekly invitational, so he's coming into this tournament. Look, players like Cool Joker, who made a final like 4 weeks ago, they might not have been even trying to compete and trying to qualify for these tournaments. We don't know that information. So the only things that we do know is Jafonzo 4 days ago was a winner, was winning the weekly invitational. He's now coming to the monthly finals with the momentum of a champion.
Well, I did say expect to see new teams, but come on, we got a long show ahead of us. All right, France against France. Could be the game to kick us off. It will be the game to kick us off between these two. The all-Portuguese battle between Delano and Jafonzu. It will be Delano from left to right. Jafonzu kicking from right to left in this one. And the key thing that we need to talk about with this one is that it's a best-of-1 game. There's not a best-of-3. It's not a 2-game aggregate scoreline that you may be used to seeing at a FUT Champions Cup or your usual competitive events. Instead, this one, it's a best-of-1. It's a one and done. And it's not a weekly invitational anymore, Richard. It's a monthly grand final. These guys have already won a handful of games to get to this stage tonight in terms of a round of 64 win and a round of 32 win. Looking at those games, they both had 2 different matches. Delano had to play against Calpo, 90 of Germany, beat him 5-2, and then played against Thomas. They beat him 4-1. On the other side of that is a story for you. It was a default win, and it was actually Lucky Punch Hammer. It was a winner against winner in the round of 32, and it was Jafonzo that snatched the win there by 1-0.
That's really tough matchmaking, isn't it, as well? Beating and having to play a former weekly champion in your knockout bracket, not even before a quarter-final or a semi-final, but a round of 32 matchup. Real tough. But to be the champ, you've got to beat him. And he's already knocked out the week 1 champion, has Jafonzo. Confidence on his side. Can he back it up here on stream?
Yeah, if you have just joined us, welcome to the PS4 Tournament's Open Series monthly final, our first monthly final for Europe. From 64 down to the final 16. Who is going to take the crown? And all the money. First chance off the game for Jafonzo. Someone that's been absolutely ecstatic to get playing Mbappe back to go, happy to twist and turn. It will be Mendy back there. But the one thing we've talked about, and if you haven't been following the Open Series, it's the weaknesses of France. Yes, they may be a team that offer you so much defensively going forward and just kind of as a unit overall, but the fullback was always an issue, and it's kind of been the one thing that we've dissected.
Terrible offside trap.
What an offside trap that is. It could be a mistake in a monthly final you do not want to make. Wissam Ben Yedder, with one of the easiest goals he's going to get all game. And if you notice one thing, Jafonzo's had a pause queued for a good 20 minutes in this one. Clearly he wasn't happy with Summit. And Delano will take the lead by 1-0 with 19 minutes on the clock. When you play the offside trap, it's such a high-risk, high-reward method of defending. Didn't work that time, and unfortunately, it was that came off.
Really tough way to sort of go 1-0 down there in a one-legged game of FIFA as well. You play the offside trap, you take the risk, you're looking to squeeze your players up to the halfway line, either catch your players offside or just get closer to your opponent to press. That's the real sort of logistics behind the offside trap. But awful timing for it. It's high risk, high reward, and right there you're seeing the real fatality of the offside trap. Easy goal. He's got so much time to pick his pass, slot it into the back of the net, and could we potentially be seeing another weekly invitational champion fall out of the tournament?
I mean, it's sort of been the storyline that we've been following, isn't it, in our first ever monthly final for June. It has been a breakthrough, though. We expected to see goals. We want to see goals as FIFA fans ourselves. Chance maybe for that equaliser for Jafonzo, unfortunately. Never going to be testing Hugo Lloris there, especially back to goal with the finish from Wissam Ben Yedder. As I wanted to talk about, Richard, the fullback situation. It's going to be Benjamin Mendy in at right back for Delano in this one. On the other side of that, potentially looks like Mendy as well in at fullback for Jafonzo.
Yeah, Benjamin Mendy and Lucas Hernandez. It's not Theo Hernandez, the Milan fullback. It's actually Lucas Hernandez from Bayern Munich. Not the quickest, but he's a strong option at fullback.
There's a chance that Jafonso's building into a couple of ball rolls in there, just to try and make things difficult at the back for Delano. He does defend well, though, and as we approach the first third of this round of 16 game.
I think it's also important to point out, Brandon, we're going to have a couple of games playing simultaneously at the same time. So we're going to have sort of staggered kickoffs where we can either jump to other games if we sort of have a blowout, or if we have the opportunity to jump into another game if it goes to penalties or extra time. Ousmane Dembele down the byline, looking for the Elastico cutback. Paul Pogba gets absolutely clattered by Lloris.
For a split second, I thought there would have been a penalty shout there. Lloris was involved, and for a second I thought he was the victim. Referee waves that one away. Otherwise, it would not be a half to remember for Jafonso. Here comes Jafonso now. Looking to build into an attack, looking to find that equaliser. N'Golo Kante and Pogba, the two hearts of this French side that have been, I would say, the hearts of FIFA Open series. They've been playing probably the most time on the field of anyone in this French team.
Will let us know in the Twitch chat as well. Who would you be using? Would you be sticking by the meta and using France, or do you use a different team on head-to-head?
Yeah, let us know. We can see the Twitch chat. We'll do our best to interact with you guys over the next couple of hours. As all the action unfolds in our first ever monthly finals. Chance now. Delano looking for a second. Kante. An interchange with Paul Pogba a couple of times. Ben Yedder back to goal. Could it be two? It's absolutely beautiful. A drag back into the finish. It's a brace for Ben Yedder.
And the way that he's taken the goal as well. Unbelievable composure inside the box. Paul Pogba on the edge, just almost a catalyst to the move. Teasing that defence out of space. Ben Yedder gets it, dragged back onto the right boot. It can go right, it can go left with the 5-star weak foot. And Delano, potentially, would you say an upset, Brandon, if Jafonso gets eliminated this early into the tournament?
It makes you think as well, the fact they're both from Portugal, they're both, the fact they're both kind of been making a name for themselves in terms of getting themselves verified. I'm sure they know who each other are. They may even brush shoulders in a previous weekly invitational. 2-0 before half-time. These are best-of-1 matches. It's tough to bring results back like that.
Interesting.
This will be for a place in the quarterfinals.
Couple of teams in the chat as well. I've just had a little look through. Mr. Marley says that he played with Napoli. James and I'll go Theo. Both said they played with Birmingham City. Hunt said he played with Germany. A couple of PSGs as well inside the Twitch chat. So Birmingham City. You fancy a little bit of Birmingham City, Brandon?
I mean, I understand the shout there. If we were playing 85 rated mode, I don't know if Zhukovic is still playing at Birmingham, but I mean, the height of Zhukovic, he'd be quite deadly on 85 rated mode, but we're not playing 85 rated mode, so they wouldn't be great.
They had a big striker, aren't they? They had Zigic back in the day as well. Remember?
They did have pace back in the day, though. Remember they had is it Obafemi Martins?
Yeah, he won the League Cup, didn't he, against Arsenal?
He did. Also, other shouts in there as well. We can see Cardiff, Leicester. I wonder what we're asking you guys would say. What team would you use in the PS4 Tournaments Open Series? I think Liverpool's a great shout as well. I think they've won a handful of tournaments. It's really been France and Liverpool that have been the two teams to be. As you said, in Europe, it's been 3 times for Liverpool. And 5 times for France. Sorry, I mean across both North America and Europe in terms of the teams that have won over the last couple of weeks. Mbappe into Griezmann. It's all to do for Jafonso. 40 minutes left. If he was to bring it all square, we would be going into extra time and penalties. That's how all the games have been decided over the last couple of weeks. Well, we've had some great games, haven't they, Richard? Those that have somehow ended 0-0 all the way through to penalties.
Yeah, we've had penalty shootout. We've had a couple of extra time games. Golden goals being the decider a couple of times as well. Is real good drama, good action we've seen here in the Open Series, and hopefully we continue to get engaging FIFA action here in the monthly finals.
Antoine Griezmann, a player that we often question as part of this French team. Where's his perfect role? It seems like that cam area in a 4-2-3-1 is the place where the Frenchman is the most deadly. Ousmane Dembele, Kante, just finds himself just about onside. A couple of La Croquetas into the mix, well defended again. Lenglet, the man at the back, to defend that best.
I think for Jafonso, he's just really struggled to get Mbappe on the ball. He's playing him out wide. He has to exploit Benjamin Mendy.
Yeah.
But Delano's done a great job of getting players around Mendy. You see Kante dropping back. You see Pogba dropping back and helping out, almost doubling up on Kylian Mbappe. And he's really not been able to get Mbappe in the game. For me, if you get Kylian in the game and you can get Kylian Mbappe really involved in the attacking third, you've got a very good chance of winning the game.
Speaking of a chance now, Richard, he needs this to go in. Antoine Griezmann round the corner. We've got a game on our hands with just 25 minutes left. Jafonso needed something to happen. It might not have been Mbappe, Richard, but Antoine Griezmann, right place, right time, and a really important goal.
It all came from a mistake. He's played the ball with Lenglet, I think it was, in that back four. He's tried playing out of the back with Lenglet. Jafonso squeezed high up the pitch, won the ball back, and kept his composure at the near post. That's the main reason that's gone in. Slight finesse shot past the goalkeeper. And we've got a game on our hands with 20 minutes left to go.
Played in towards the box. It's a front post flick on that unfortunately cannot happen. Griezmann was there. You think, what has that goal done in terms of confidence for Jafonso? And also the custom tactics that have been changed. Look at all the white shirts. The press. Clearly a thing. It will be used. Try and just find that second to find the equaliser. Kingsley Coman. Defended. The back by Lenglet. Another chance to get the ball forward for Jafonso. Seen Ben Yedder. Actually scored 2 of the goals for Delano within the first 30 minutes of this round of 16 game. But this is for a spot in the quarterfinals. 15 minutes away from doing so. Pogba. And Kante. The usual two linking up. Still N'Golo Kante. And this is where it's key. Holding the ball, just trying to disrupt that back four. For Delano, try and find a gap in between it. He's got to give credit how patient he's been on this attack. Pogba, still. When you can get your midfielders involved, it just causes all sorts of trouble. Around the corner, it will be defended well by Lenglet. But it's more of that, Rich, we need to see. Get the ball, try and tease the defence, make Delano come out and make a tackle, and then you can find the gaps in between.
But I don't think you've got time. You've got 10 minutes left to play. You're in a one-legged game of FIFA. In 2 legs, that's how you play. You wait for the mistakes. You bide your time. In a one-legged game of FIFA, sometimes you just have to fly forward. Ousmane Dembele into Mbappe, game, set, and match. That's the difference. One player will play slow, one player quick, fast, incisive FIFA, game over.
It's as simple as that and as harsh as that. From one end having a chance to score, then conceding on the counter-attack. I think we are going to be saying goodbye to Jafonso. Mbappe makes it 3, and it's Mbappe's first real involvement in tonight's action. Delano will take Portugal and himself into the final 8. Edge himself closer towards the prize pot. But it's more stories being made, Richard. That'll be another previous weekly invitational winner knocked out.
We're only going to have one remaining, Brandon. Easy for Mel will be the only weekly invitational from EU left in the tournament.
Just 4 minutes left, Richard, plus additional time. First name in the hat of the final 8 will be Delano. Although we predicted that Jafonzu being last week's winner. Yes, he knocked out Lucky Punch Hammer in the round of 30 to a previous winner. However, he's going to get knocked out by fellow Portuguese pro by 3-1. And it was all about that quick start. 2 goals from Ben Yedder. Really did prove to be the difference.
In a one-legged game of FIFA, the first goal, 9 times out of 10, is the deciding goal. It's the game settler, really, because your opponent has to press. They've got to come forward.
There we have it. There's the full-time whistle. Delano will progress into the final 8. And unfortunately, Jafonzo will be seeing him hopefully in July when our tournaments get going again for next month's LFC Open Series action here, provided by PlayStation. But Richard, first game of the day is done. It was all about the early start, as we alluded to. Ben Yedder getting 2 goals in 30 minutes. There was a sort of a fight back, but as you said, there's not really much time left to do so. Then a counter-attack happened, and Mbappe scored the goal. The 2-goal was reinstated. Now Delano moves on into the final 8, looking really confident.
Yeah, talking of confidence, talking of momentum, he surely is one of the players to watch right now, looking at the previous results that he's had, now knocking out a previous weekly invitational champion. Delano could be the one to beat, in my opinion, in this tournament right now.
Yeah, he could be indeed. Well, if we can have a look at some of the action from that game in terms of all that we saw a total of 4 goals. It was Ben Yedder, as we said, getting himself onto the score sheet. And I mean, he does it on Ultimate Team, believe it or not. He still does it on head-to-head. He might not have his team of the season, his 97 team of the season, but even an 83 rated, I believe his base item comes in at, he's still remarkable. He's still got the weak foot. He's got all the flair traits that you can have in head-to-head. And there's just something about him, Richard, that just causes FIFA players problems.
And I think fundamentally, it's just the way that he is. It's his body type. He has good pace. He's got great dribbling, but the weak foot, the 5-star weak foot is so impactful in FIFA to be able to turn onto either foot and just fire off a shot, turn off a drag back and fire in a shot at the near post. It means that Ben Yedder simply has to play for you.
He does. He's a player that you can't really miss out in that team. We see some people maybe put him out wide in the left cam or a right cam, but with that 5-star weak foot, it's all about getting him down the centre of the pitch, and it's either him or Mbappe that sort of takes the limelight there, or Griezmann, I should say, to kind of mix into the trio going forward. But yeah, Delano takes the first win. It's our first game of the day. As we alluded to, lots of games are taking place in the round of 16 simultaneously, so we'll give you updates when we can and when we see goals go in to the back of the net. But Richard, perfect start here. If you have just joined the stream, we can see the Twitch chat. You have just joined us for the PS4 Tournaments Open Series monthly finals. This is our first month of action here. And if you wonder what we're playing for, it's a $1,000 prize pot. Top 4 players as well will also receive some FIFA points. And if you guys want to get involved on what you're seeing, compete.playstation.com. But I think we've got more action coming up now, Richard.
We do indeed, Brandon. We're going to be hopping over to another game. I believe it's going to be Mert against De Gouy here in this round of 16 matchup. Let's get right into the game. 19 minutes in. And believe it or not, France versus France.
France versus France again to kick things off in this matchup. Just 20 minutes played. Round of 16 game we're looking at once again. Speaking of Ben Yedder, it's Ben Yedder with one of the first chances of this match. As you alluded to, though, Richard, Mert, C15, up against De Gouy of Italy. Who nearly found himself 1 goal down. It is Mert kicking from left to right in the blue French strip. And De Gouy, one of our previous weekly invitationals, from right to left. The first time we've been able to see Mert in action. And Mert is up 1-0.
You just simply cannot do that. You simply cannot make mistakes, Brandon. Running away, celebrating. Mert goes 1-0 up. De Gouy with a a mistake at the back that you just simply will get punished on. You can't play out of the back sometimes. If in doubt, get it out. That's what you learned in primary school.
I'm just looking at the run that both of these two had to get to the round of 16. It was De Gui that picked up a 2-1 victory in the round of 64 against Boxes of Portugal. Then beat Elite Kiko 95. 6 goals to 4 in a 10-goal thriller to get himself to the round of 16. On the other side of that, it was a default win in the round of 64, so he can count himself pretty lucky, Mert. And he had to go up against Hager 17, only beaten by a 1-0. So, you know, kind of different in terms of the goals that we've seen that have been going in. But Mert to get a goal this early on is only going to give him confidence in this round of 16 tie.
And again, the question is it going to be the player who scored the first goal goes on to win the game? The first goals have been so influential in